All right. You want to have a debate about Dementors real quick?
Yes.
Get it all out?
100%.
All right. This is going to be a side podcast on Dementors because we have a sharp disagreement here.
Well, state your case.
You state your case. You're going on me.
No, you go first. Because I have the lesser opinion. So you should speak for the masses and say your piece.
I think
Dementors are evil. Because they're dark and scary. That's you. You have no original thoughts. Come on.
This is like
Free yourself.
Stop bullying me right now.
No, you're just being swayed by.
No, I'm not. Because there is split opinions on this. I think that they are wicked creatures. Because they are not seeking justice for things. They follow orders. And what they do to people is the height of inhumanity.
Okay.
It's not morally right. Like, I mean, we talk about this in like the Muggle world of like, oh, you know, is it morally right for like capital punishment? Is that a morally just punishment? And a lot of people today would say, no, it's not. You just let them like rot in prison. But some people would rather probably have capital punishment than rot the rest of their lives in prison. But it's like, what do you value in human life, in witch or wizard life? And I think what Dementors do is, I mean, she wrote it to be like, this is what she experienced in depression. It kind of sucks the happiness out of you. But the creature itself, I don't think is morally neutral. I think it is more of an evil leaning creature. Maybe not even, okay. And maybe that's weird to say. I think the creature does what it was, maybe not created to do, because their creation is a little interesting. Yeah. But what they do is just reprehensible. And so maybe they're not to blame, but I don't think that we should make them be guards of Azkaban prison and suck out all the happiness of every prisoner that is in Azkaban.
Okay. Well, this is my thing. They're a beast, okay?
Yeah.
You're holding them to the standard of muggles and beings, right? I have like my PhD in Dementors now. So there's different, there's like beings, which are like the good people, whatever. There's spirits and there's beasts. And they're beasts. So when we're saying like they're sucking the happiness out of a human and that makes them evil, that's because you're looking at it with like anthropocentrism, where like the human is the most important thing. Beasts got to eat. Beast doesn't care what he's eating.
Wow.
So an animal eats an animal, everything's fine. That's the game of life. Animal eats a human, okay. They don't understand human morals. They don't understand human superiority. Beast eats a beast, all right, that's fine. Beast eats a muggle, suddenly that's evil. That's such an inconsistency. Because the Dementor, yes, it has an awareness of human happiness and morals, but it still has to eat. And this whole Ministry of Magic thing is kind of like a symbiotic relationship because the Ministry gets to keep tabs on some of the Dementors, and the Ministry gets to uphold their levels of justice, right? They can punish their criminals. And then for the Dementors, they get to have like a happy level of soul sucking and they can survive. So there's this mutualism that the Ministry of Magic with the Dementors is creating. But then there's also like a beast just got to eat. They don't care. They're not, and there's not really much to go off of that they actually enjoy sucking the life out of humans. I'm serious, because I looked at this, and if they did get happiness out of it, I probably would change my opinion. But they really don't.
They're just feeding.
They just gotta eat. And there's that thing: animal, fine. Animal, human, fine. Beast, fine. Beast, human, not fine. Why is that not fine?
That's a great point. It's some of these. Honestly, you kind of convinced me a
Dude,
little bit.
my argument is so strong.
I will say the classification of beast versus being is very hazy. Even his classifications, Newt Scamander's classifications in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, he classifies something like a house elf as a being, but he classifies a centaur as a beast.
But a beast has a taste for human flesh. That's
No.
what yeah. That's one of the things that makes them beasts. Because centaurs would kill a human. We established that way before this was even a thing in like the first book. I asked you that without even thinking about it.
Where did you get the idea that beasts have a taste for human flesh? Just the nature
website.
of beast? It's actually on the website?
Yeah, well, that was in one of the things. There's like a beast classification of X to like 4X.
5X.
5X. And then on there it said something like the beasts like to eat humans because there's something else that would eat a human. But I'm like, Dementors not eating a human. They are actually incapable of killing a human. They just leave them in a state worse than death. You know?
Yeah.
So they can't even kill them.
That is actually so. In a very short window, you've actually convinced me, kind of.
And it's on the record.
I have to say, it does seem like a part of an ecosystem. I'm trying to equate, but my only conundrum is, which isn't necessarily a conundrum with your argument. Your argument is very sound.
Say it. What is it?
To eat. My only conundrum is the extent to which they affect other life is nearly parasitical, which you need like parasites in your ecosystem, right? But you don't?
I mean, the parasites need you in the ecosystem.
Yeah, for sure. They need hosts. But what are they giving? I don't think they're giving much. They're not giving like a sense of justice in the world. They are solely takers, which I don't like in my ecosystem.
Okay. But the ministry has kind of fashioned them into,
for sure,
having a little bit of benefit.
But that should be a moot point, because then you're bringing human interference, and then you're saying these beings are making them to be what they need them to be. We don't do that with many other beasts other than Dementors, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably say the same thing about werewolves.
Arguably, werewolves
are another interesting one.
They might be the most useful beast on the same side of the other side of that coin, because they're the only beast that the humans actually utilize.
Bias sentient ones, yeah, for sure.
Because what's the power of Azkaban without a Dementor? The wizards have to stay wizards. They're gonna stay powerful. They're just gonna be locked up their whole life.
Yeah. Okay. So someone on one of our members says, and this was the origin story. I just couldn't remember the actual thing. The origin story is on what Azkaban actually is currently. There was an evil wizard that would torture people on that island, and the ministry found them years later, and all these Dementors had been produced from this. So wherever there's a lot of despair and a lot of hopelessness and a lot of like sadness, Dementors just naturally pop up. So to be honest, they are a result of human issues, like wrongdoing. So we're like almost the ones to fault here.
Yeah. I didn't even know that.
I don't think they make great. I mean, they make good, decent guards. That is the
kiss has to be administered by, like, they have to be ordered to kiss a.
Probably right now, if they were free, they would probably just be kissing anybody that they wanted to kiss. Be like, it's like an alligator that eats like a big, like, deer, and it's good for the rest of the year. I feel like the kiss of the Dementor is like, oh, I got a soul, I'm good for the rest of the year.
Is it actually? Because I tried to find that and I couldn't find that.
I don't know if there's any correlation between the two.
Because the kiss is just like a buffet.
That's what I kind of think it is, yeah.
And like everything else is just like sustenance for the day.
For sure.
But what's interesting is the muggles can feel their presence too. That's not going to either of our arguments, but that's just an interesting fact.
In a very short window, you've actually convinced me that Dementors are
Not evil.
less evil than I initially thought.
Not evil.
That changes my opinion a lot on what it actually is fascinating to look at the people in this book who talk about Dementors and the rest of the series who talk about Dementors like they're evil beings or evil beasts, because maybe that is just they're saying that based on their own fear and their own sadness and their own remorse, because they hate the feelings associated when they're around these beasts. So they're just like they're completely evil immediately because they associate with depression and they hate their depression. So they're like, these things are evil because of that.
And this, I'm so glad you brought this up, because this is why I think Dumbledore has such a strong hatred for them, because Dumbledore loves to give people second chances. He loves to stand up for the weirdos. He manipulates the truth. He withholds information and he lies. But all that with Dumbledore, to see the Dementors just like ruthlessly, they are told to like sweep out these people or like kill someone, right? They have a hit list. No sway from anyone. No invisibility cloak. It's not in their nature to understand pleading. They're just like one track minds. And I think Dumbledore is so much more fluid with like what he'll allow and what he won't. And he loves to like manipulate things like that. And for him to just see a Dementor just be like, just kill someone and then just do it, I think it's just so such a contrast for him that he just can't cope with that, and that's why he hates them, because he's seen like how much good can come from giving people second chances. So, because even with Sirius, like if Sirius did get eaten by a Dementor, like the man is good. Sirius is great. I love Sirius, but like if the Dementor did their job as told, Sirius wouldn't have had that. And I think Dumbledore knows that there's always like a second side of people that you can, like, he believes in the greater good and he believes that there's more.
That's so good. That is so good.
So yeah, there's these personality things of this is why Dumbledore hates them. This is why Hagrid hates them. This is why Lupin hates them. I feel like it's everyone has their own little issue that's not actually the Dementor. It's like their wizarding worldview, which is why I thought you would kind of not hop on this train so fast, because I'm like anthropocentrism, I think is pretty close to how like my worldview would be, where like humans are the most important, but I'm not there like fully, because I understand like our place in the ecosystem is not necessarily tops. But I thought you might lean a little more into like humans are more valuable than animals and stuff. Just like,
no way.
I thought you'd be more that way than I am, but maybe we're on the same boat, which is awesome. But I don't know. Welcome to the dark side.
I'm definitely dang that. I'm like trying to evaluate every character now to see what their actual fear of Dementors is. I think the same would probably be true of Lupin as well, because he was given a second chance and he values that so much in students. That's probably why he views Dementors as being evil, because they take away your shot at a second chance.
Yeah. And Hagrid was wrongly imprisoned.
Yeah, for sure. It in a weird way. You've probably never seen this movie because it's an older one. Have you ever seen Minority Report?
Mm-mm.
So it's these three like beings, and they can predict the future on crime, and so crime is completely eradicated and shut down. But there's a loophole in it that there's either, if sometimes two of these beings predict something and the third contradicts and they go with the majority. And in this one case, like the third predicted that this wasn't going to happen and this other person was arrested, and it's like you control your own fate kind of thing. So I'm actually curious with the same thing with like Dementors. Like Dementors go around, they just go around feeding on people and stuff like that. But I'm curious what their evaluation skills would be if they were to a higher degree sentient, because they are able to take orders. Mm-hmm. They are able to do certain tasks. So wizards are essentially perverting maybe their true sense of
like their autonomy almost.
Yeah, for sure. But then again, they're like any like survival instincts kicking. You're not going to evaluate like a good person from a bad person. You're just going to eat, you know? So, but my worldview is like slightly anthropocentric, but not at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which is why I kind of like your theory a little bit. And dang, this is so good for so many other things that I was thinking about too. Because there's one of the most famous lines in the book is the world isn't always split into good people and Death Eaters. And then essentially all the main characters in this book split people into good people and Death Eaters. Mm. And you're like, that's not actually how it should be. So I'm thinking through this of being like all the beasts, they're not either good beasts or bad beasts, or there's no such thing as beings and beasts.
Yeah, because what are we basing our standard off of?
Yeah, seriously, yeah.
We're saying that we're the ruling people and we decide what's good and bad.
Dude, this is so good. And someone goes, I love seeing John's mind blown.
Yeah, me too. That's why I'm here.
Beings got to eat too. We know they converse, understand direction, and even do paperwork. So they are more beings and beasts. We can't make a beast got to eat argument. Yes, but you can exercise morality where you can. They did that until they were promised something greater by Voldemort, and then almost all of them, if not all, joined.
Yeah, because they go with who can promise them more souls.
Yeah, for sure.
So even that, they're just seeking like more food. Are you gonna go to the tiny stream to drink that's there and it's temporary and you never know? Or are you gonna go to the lake? You're gonna go to the lake. Yeah. You need to drink. You need to eat. Soul is soul. Meat is meat.
Someone goes, John did not just call Minority Report an old movie. It is an old movie. When
did it come out?
2000 maybe.
Oof, it's
old.
24
2002.
Years. A quarter of a decade.
It's 22 years, yeah.
What are your other apprehensions to fully coming to my point of view?
Honestly, I don't have any. You fully convinced me. I am shocked by that.
Oh, I'm so happy.
I realized how flimsy my argument was. It was based on the idea that other people that I respect in these books call them dark. It was on originality. You called me out in the beginning.
Dude,
be original with your ideas.
Yeah. I knew it.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe I've been a poser all this time.
Stop. Your whole identity as a real Harry Potter fan.
I know.
And we can always give us your questions. I will convince everyone to come to my side. I will debate you.
That's actually a great idea.
Dementor debate part 2. It could be an ongoing, because I don't really remember if there's development of Dementors in the other books.
Whenever we come to development, we'll like take a pause and like talk about that development, because there will be some development that I do want to talk about and do want to discuss.
Yeah, because I know there's the whole like exodus into Voldemort's side, but that's still totally like nothing.
But what you're talking about is you're talking about the purity of a entity. Rather than in the books, what is essentially happening is control. And really the people who are controlling Dementors are dark wizards. Originally, it's like okay excuse me.
Oh my God.
Gosh, I just threw up there. It's okay wizards in the beginning. Yeah. And then it transitions to dark wizards who are controlling them and people we hate who are controlling them, which is why most people who are good probably hate Dementors, because they're the people that we hate are controlling them. But again, the world's not split into good people and Death Eaters. The world's not split into Dementors and whatever else the film would be for that.
Yeah. Is this not what started the whole thing of me being on the podcast too? Well, because I remember sending you a voice memo.
It was that, but it was more so depression.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. That's my point.
I'll cut this and put it in. Give it to
me. The after the kiss state that you're like a husk or a shell, that to me is way more like that's depression than the actual thing that the Dementor's like doing to you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because I thought, I'm with you on that. I was like trying to understand like the Dementor as the depression, and it like wasn't computing to me at all. Even like with the thing of like sucking happiness out of it, it's like that's not how I experienced it. So then like this after the fact is just like that's what depression is. So then I don't know, I guess it's interesting that she could create this whole other like entity to kind of just get to that point of like the husk is what she's really trying to give some.
I do think that's what it was. And I do think there's different forms of depression. Like everybody kind of encounters and deals with depression in different ways. But I think it's the same thing when people say like when they have any even personality disorders, people throw out personality disorders so flippantly. Everyone goes like, oh, you know, I'm OCD. I'm like, no, you're not. You have not seen an OCD person and what they need to do in order to like live or like survive or like do like it's completely different ball game because like, you know, you have like tics, like you don't want something like done a certain way. That doesn't mean you have OCD.
Yeah.
Like it's not what it is. And it's the same thing with depression. Like some people say like, oh, I'm so depressed. I'm like, you're not. You're just sad about something right now.
Yeah, like I never throw that around anymore.
For sure.
It's like I just
But I think it's
disrespectful to me.
No joke. Because someone who is encountering depression, who is in that, who is the husk of themselves, that is what real depression is to me. And I'm like, yes, I can experience depressing moments and like depression can affect me in certain ways. But those are when like the happiness is sucked out. Like those are the moments that like, you know, I'll walk through my day and I'll be like a little bit like bummed. And sometimes those moments are like, and again, it's like walking through the mist and you're walking through the mist or you're walking through the fog. And sometimes those are like month-long spats where like, I'm like, I can't think positively for certain things. And it takes like conscious effort to get myself out of that. I do think that's definitely part of depression, but I think what clinical depression actually is being in that husk. And like, you feel like you're not yourself. You're like completely not yourself. And I do think that, again, you can hit shades of that, but the mentor's kiss is the final like kiss of what actual depression is.
For sure. Because people, when they're throwing around like, oh, I'm depressed, they're talking about a temporary sadness or disappointment.
Yeah.
But like depression is like this whole state that you exist in. And then even in depression, you can experience like temporary happiness and you can experience like these little temporary joys. They're definitely like muted.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's just kind of like, it's like inverted the way that when you're throwing around the word, I'm depressed about this. It's like, no, that's not.
Yeah.
You're not.
I know.
You're wrong. And then what are you supposed to do? Go tell everyone your life story? It's like, no, you just laugh along and go, ha ha.
Yeah. You just kind of play along with it.
Because you don't want to be like, don't say that.
What it actually is versus what, you know, people say that they have is just completely different. And yeah, I think that's a great point. What I think having those moments where like the Dementors are sucking certain bits of happiness and hope out of you is the lead into depression, but it's not the actual thing itself. It's such a good point.
Yeah, because I think at the beginning of depression, you're like aware that it's coming.
Yeah, for sure.
And you feel it leaving, or you feel the certain things that once made you happy are not making you happy anymore. Or you wake up and you're just like, oop, today's not the day.
Yeah,
today is the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're aware of the difference, or like the happiness leaving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I guess is the Dementors sucking it out of you.
I know. Dang, this is great. This is such a fun discussion about Dementors.
Now we're sympathizing.
I know.
We've come the full circle.
This is the whole purpose of these books. Like, I help you sympathize. I help you understand each other. All right, this wraps up our discussion of Dementors Part 1. We're going to have many more discussions about that, where Lizzie's going to convince me of different things in Harry Potter based on non-anthropocentrism.
Thanks for joining us on our journey of Dementors.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye. See ya.